I'll go ahead. So I was doing my researching about you a little bit, and it's very exciting to meet you. I love food, and I feel like everything you've done is amazing. But I just had a personal question. What was it about food and the art of making amazing food at such a young age that caught your fancy?
Well, I think because I grew up in a Greek household in Mississippi, so I had two really strong food cultures around me, and I actually grew up around restaurateurs, so my godfather was a restaurateur, and so I grew up, and obviously being Greek, I mean, in many restaurateurs, you grow up around, but he was a restaurateur. We spent a lot of time there at his restaurant and one of my uncle's restaurants, and so I think, and then my grandfather, who I didn't get a chance to know, was a restaurateur as well, so I had a lot of pictures and ideas about what he had done and stories from my parents, about him and his diners and things that he had opened. And that was just, I think it was just really in my blood. It was something I always kind of grew up loving, is being around that gathering, that vibe of restaurants and food and people being happy and that kind of instant gratification of sitting down and serving people and really having that fun atmosphere. And it's just a really good vibe to be around that I really grew up with.
That's great.
Yeah, and I just I honestly, that's what I wanted to do, and then obviously took a detour, went to college and got a degree in exercise physiology, a minor in biology, nutrition, and wellness. But I think that was a good thing for me at the time, because at that time, that was back in the 80s, and that's before Food Network had exploded, before any of the food scene had become what it was. At the time, restaurant owners were still blue collar. It was still a very blue collar kind of job. You went in and you were either a chef or a restaurant, but it wasn't what we are today.
Right.
Very different world. So there wasn't, besides Julia Child, who I was lucky enough to meet and spend time with a little bit later, there wasn't really role models like kids have today. Like they have all of us doing what we're doing, but I didn't have any of that growing up, and it just really didn't exist at the time. To be honest with you, believe it or not, it just didn't exist. So, yeah, so I felt like I needed to get an education.
Yeah.
It's always a good thing.
Have
a plan. I haven't had to use it yet. I haven't had to fall back on it, except for my cooking. I fall back on some of the fitness, the nutritional part of it, but
That's good.
Yeah.
I say it totally answered one of my questions.
Or answer questions that you might not have thought to ask, and maybe
you kind of touched on mine.
Yeah. Everybody has a good vibe going on there. Yeah.
Okay. You've had a lot of success in your career. What's your favorite accomplishment to date, and why?
I think. Well, I would say probably just the fact that coming from Mississippi, being someone, being self-made, I didn't really have anyone that, besides, I got a lot of encouragement from my family, which is great, and I owe a lot of my success to them, because they just really said, yeah, go for it, do it, at a time when it really wasn't, defined, so, but they always encouraged me to follow my dreams, and I think that's a big reason why I was successful, but I think really just being self-made, I think I'm really proud of that. The fact that what I've been able to accomplish and become, I think one of my most favorite accomplishments in my career is really just being able to be a role model. I think that's really what the sweet part of what's come out of, the sweet success of what's happened is when you see young kids and people who are inspired by you and things that you've done, and being able to touch those people and really, make a difference in their lives. That's really, it goes a long way. It's really, it's a phenomenal thing. And I also think being able to create my charity, my nonprofit, Just Humanity, has been something for me that has been a great part of what's come out of my career. What I've been able to accomplish, because I have this career, I have this great career, has been able to do incredible programs in Haiti and do really good things here in the U.S. and in other developing countries. And, that brings me to a point where we're about to start a program called Global Gardens, which is going to be, it's a really, really big idea to do collective, connected global gardens in developing countries and in the U.S. and connect them all through social media but to build them in primary schools and really teaching gardens basically, to teach about nutritional education in developing countries and nutritional education here. So those are things that I think I'm most proud of, and obviously in my personal life is being a mom.
Right.
I think that's the biggest accomplishment is being a mom. So.
Well, you kind of touched on mine too, so that was awesome. I kind of going back to Julia Child. I mean,
Yes.
I've seen Julie and Julia about 18 times.
Right.
I think. So I always like to hear kind of about how chefs were inspired, and I know she was one of your mentors. So how did she end up kind of influencing your cooking? Because I know you do a lot of Greek and Mediterranean cooking, where she liked butter and everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of my training started out exactly the way she cooks. It started out at the Culinary Institute of America in New York, and then I went and apprenticed for two three-star Michelin chefs. And so really my foundation is all French classical. So it's exactly the way she cooks. And then I think, for me, growing up in a Greek home, really, and being able to cook in France and being able to cook a lot of Mediterranean different styles of cuisine, because it is so far reaching and covers so many regions and cuisines and cultures, from Africa all the way to Greece, Turkey, and on. But I think for me it's really it's an exciting cuisine to cook all over the Mediterranean and cook those different types of foods. But I think she really it was really more the foundation of being a chef and what that means that Julia was able to instill in me, at a young age, and really to be able to say, to take the time with me really gave me a lot of confidence. Just to say she saw, she stopped, she was able to give me time, which to me showed that she saw a lot of passion there, that she saw my drive and my passion and my determination, and said that. And so for me that was really, I think, really super inspiring to me to say, this must be meant to be. This really must be meant to be able to have this experience, and for someone, like Julia to say, this is what you need to do, and I believe in you, and I believe you can do it. So I think everything just kind of, the planets just started aligning, after that. And I just knew that it was my right path. And I think that was really the foundation and the confidence that I needed to continue, going forward and having that drive to go all the way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Do you have one question?
Oh, I just had a question about the Macy's Culinary Council. How did you come to end up working with this? How long has it been around? Because I was supposed to go to an event a little bit ago here, but I think it had got canceled or something, so I'm interested.
Yeah, God, how long have I been on the council? Probably about 5 years now, I guess.
Okay.
Something like that. But it's been going on, I don't know how long it's been going on, I have to find that out, but I've been on it for about 5 years, and they asked me to be on it, and it was a great group of chefs. It's changed a little bit, but for the most part, a core group has stayed the same. And I think they really do a great program. They really they're involved in some exciting charity work. They're involved in some exciting events around the country. They're always changing and evolving. They're always looking to be better and better at what they do, especially where we're concerned. And I think for me, it's a good platform. It's a really good platform to be able to reach my audiences, to come to things like this, to do demonstrations, to touch the people, to be able to say hi, get a picture with them, sign their book. And it's really, I think, them sending us all over the country is a really great way to touch our fans and be around them. Yeah. It's why it's